We are back again yet on your screens to ensure that we bring you back the best in what is happening in our country. Good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome again to another exciting edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show of today being the 26th of July 2023. I am your host Miriam Kaimba, and shortly I will be joined by my colleague Patrick Soko, where we are going to be looking at current affairs. On Wednesday, basically, when we come on this platform, we ensure that we bring you nothing but the best in what is happening in the political field. Current affairs. I know a lot of things have been happening in the political scene, but anyway, and just to help us discuss about various issues that we're going to have this morning, to be looking at this morning, we're going to be joined later on at 08 by Chilui area member of parliament, Mr. Mulinga Fube, who's going to help us discuss various issues that are happening in the political sector. But anyway, not to talk too much and just dove into our healthy sector, our healthy corner, and just see what the doctors have for us this morning.
Good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubia Namfaya. So this week we are talking about anxiety disorder, and yesterday we talked about some of the types of anxiety disorder. We say that there is what we call generalized anxiety disorder. Then there is also panic attack and social anxiety disorder, and also specific disorders. So today we'll talk about some of the signs and symptoms of anxiety disorders. Now, before we talk about some of the signs and symptoms, let me just briefly talk about the causes. People who have anxiety disorder usually it's caused by probably being in a situation where they were traumatized by a certain experience. So it could stem from trauma. So if someone has an experience where they were traumatized in a social situation and they were so embarrassed and they couldn't cope, or the response was so overwhelming for them, then they might develop social phobia, for example. Somebody who was traumatized because maybe they encountered a snake, they might have phobia to animals. And so these are phobias that can develop due to a certain trauma that occurred in a person's life. The other cause is that it might be genetic, for example. So if somebody would maybe develop a certain predisposition to have low self-esteem or depression, they might also have a tendency to have anxiety in certain situations. So they might have generalized anxiety where they feel anxious for different things, and they can't ride in a bus, they can't go out, they can't do certain normal things that people would normally do. They're afraid of being married, they're afraid of having children, they're afraid of owning a dog. So those are generalized anxieties, and these people would not only have one specific a fear or a phobia, but they would have a number of things that would affect them. So they could possibly have inherited a gene that could have caused them to have such behaviors. Then the other thing is alcohol abuse, drug abuse, caffeine can also predispose people to having anxiety disorders. Some of these drinks that we are taking, the alcohol, can actually lead to having anxiety disorders. So those are some of the causes of anxiety disorders, and usually the brain would produce hormones, or the body would produce certain chemicals that would overwhelm the body itself and overwhelm the person, and so that is how come they have this exaggerated fear towards certain objects or certain situations. Now, coming to the symptoms. So with generalized anxiety disorder, people with generalized anxiety disorder would have symptoms of being restless, symptoms of fear, symptoms of fatigue. So they would have fatigue, they would be restless, they would have difficulties sleeping, difficulties concentrating, and these symptoms would come about because they are having a lot of anxious thoughts, and they're having a lot of thoughts that maybe something would go wrong, and the fear is so overwhelming that they might even fail to function on a day-to-day basis. And usually these symptoms would have to be there for at least 6 months. So they come, they go, they come and go, and they come on most days in a week. So it's not every day. Maybe sometimes the person is just calm and they're okay, but maybe they are exposed to a situation and they have these fears. They have all these feelings of being restless, feelings of being losing control in those situations. So if those symptoms continue for about 6 months, then we would say that the person has generalized anxiety disorder. Then when it comes to panic attack, a person would usually experience symptoms of sweating. So they would have this, they'll start sweating so much, they have palpitations, their heart feels like it's racing, and they just can't focus in that at that point. So it's usually because of a specific a situation. Maybe they're about to write an exam, or they're about to travel, or they're about to deliver a speech, and they become very anxious, so they start panicking. So they would have sometimes they might even have a headache, they would have chest pain, abdominal pain, nausea, they might even develop diarrhea. So those are some of the symptoms that people with a panic attack would have. And these panic attacks can sometimes mimic a heart attack. So some patients would even think they are experiencing a heart attack because maybe they're having chest pain and they're having all these palpitations. But when you go to the hospital, they would most likely test you to see if you had any cardiac or heart problem, but there would be nothing. And the only way we can, the only thing that would make sense is that the person was having a panic attack in that situation. So those are some of the symptoms of people who would have a generalized anxiety disorder and even panic attacks. For specific phobias and social anxiety disorder, they would have the similar kind of symptoms where their heart is racing, they are restless, and they're sweating, and maybe feeling like they're losing control, out of control, and in those situations, so depending on the type of phobia it is, they would experience these symptoms. Depending on whether it's a social phobia or phobia for animals, they would experience those symptoms. So that is how you can differentiate generalized anxiety disorder from panic attack and also specific phobias. The other thing with generalized anxiety disorder, it would be there for about 6 months, while for panic attacks, it's usually in certain situations or certain social events or situations where a person has to write an exam or deliver a speech. With social phobia, it would be people who are about to attend an event, a wedding, a function, a party, and they become so afraid of meeting people or afraid of being embarrassed or being ridiculed in those situations. Then for people who would have specific phobias, it would be because they have encountered a specific animal or a specific situation which really makes them afraid and makes them get worried so much. So that is how you can tell the symptoms from each other. The other thing with generalized anxiety disorder, they would have sleep disturbances. So they can't sleep well at night on most days of the week. And they are struggling so much to sleep. And so they become fatigued and they become very tired. So I hope you have learned something today. If you miss any other episodes, you can watch them on my YouTube channel. Please invite your friends to watch The Breakfast Show and to learn a lot about health and other topics that are discussed on The Breakfast Show. I'll see you again tomorrow. Make sure you invite your friends. Stay blessed and stay healthy.
Indeed, we have learned something there on anxiety disorder. Quite interesting tips there from the doctor. We thank them for, coming on the show every time to bring us those healthy tips. And indeed, if there are any pressing, health condition that you would want the doctors to talk about, you can simply get in touch with us, Camnet TV, and we'll be able, to deliver your message so that the doctor would talk about on that particular topic that you would like the doctor to talk about. And don't forget, those who are watching us live on Facebook, please do send us your message. And those who are watching us live in the comfort of your home, please, you can now call us. We have officially opened our phone lines where we should get interacted and, just talk about various issues that are happening in the political sector. Among them, is there any credible opposition political party in Zambia at the moment? Anyway, but before we dove into our topic this morning of discussion, let us check our money market. We have the United States dollar there buying at 18 kwacha 88 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 25 ngwe. We have the Great British Pound there buying at 24 kwacha 22 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 07 ngwe. We have the euro there buying at 20 kwacha 84 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 25 ngwe. We have the South African rand there buying at 1 kwacha 07 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 09 ngwe. That is our foreign exchange updated for the 26th of July 2023. But anyway, I've just noticed the presence of my colleague. Good morning, Soko.
Interesting.
You disappeared.
Yeah, then I reappeared.
And you went into thin air and came back.
Yeah, I said the lady cannot be alone. I need to give her company.
Yeah, you need.
Especially that she's looking very nice, very fine.
Don't worry, no one can kidnap me on set. I'm safe.
I was worried. We have people from the north. I'm usually worried about those people because they can just say Ntorerefi. Ntorerefi, I did not kidnap her. Yeah, interesting. Is it still a positive Wednesday, or we have shifted the gears?
Well, definitely it has to be. It's a positive. It should be a positive day. Every single day. Like I said, you always have to, have this positive mentality. It helps you. Because if basically, Soko, you will agree with me that if you wake up in the morning feeling low, I don't think you'll be able to achieve most of the goals that you would set out for that particular day. So definitely it needs to be a positive day each and every single day. Even if you're feeling low, just try by all means to make it positive. And I guarantee you, by the end of the day, you'll be able to see, good result because you had this positive mentality toward that day. Yeah.
Interesting. It is a positive Wednesday again, and we encourage you to make sure that you continue to be positive and be focused on your goals, and make sure that you conquer whatever you want to conquer, achieve whatever you want to achieve for the day. Make sure that whenever you wake up, you plan your day and make sure that you start the day knowing what you want to achieve by the end of the day, because that is important towards achieving your resolutions for the year 2023. You have to make sure that you achieve them little by little, and that is the way to go. And interesting enough, Miriam Kaemba, we are also getting predictions from our dear viewers, because you know, when the Copper Queens are playing, we have to be grateful and be happy, because this is our team, and regardless of the
we are playing today, right?
To win and to lose, we are playing today at 9:30.
Okay, what's your prediction? How many goals do you think we're going to score?
Well, it's difficult for me to make a prediction, but okay, can I give my prediction after others have given their prediction?
No, just give your prediction. You can still give your prediction.
Spain. Okay, Spain is giving me a lot of time. I want to be fast,
but you have to have faith. You know, it's a positive Wednesday. You need to stay positive. We're talking about positivity here.
Well,
I give you a challenge. We're talking about positivity. I think maybe we'll try by 2 goals.
In favor of Zambia?
Yeah, in favor of Zambia.
Okay, let's keep it that.
Spain maybe 1. I give Spain 1, but Zambia 2.
Okay, maybe
I want to stay positive.
Maybe I settle for a draw.
Settle for a draw. Me, I settle for a 2. You know, I love positivity and shouldn't settle for a draw.
Yes, only last year I settled for 3-0 against Spain 3, Zambia 0. But that's not me. But for me, I'm settling for a 0-0.
A draw.
A draw. Yeah, so but I think we can have better predictors on the program.
Anyway, definitely.
I hope those who can predict the correct thing. And if you want to get in touch with us, the phone lines are open and want to be talking football, because Zambia will be playing. And this is how the fixture is looking like. So as of yesterday, we saw we had Switzerland up against Norway, and we also had Japan up against Costa Rica. The match between Switzerland versus Norway ended 0-0, and the Japan
and Costa Rica,
it ended 2. It is actually being played, Miriam.
Yeah.
And Japan is leading by 2-0. I think Japan are forced to they're the ones who gave us, who baptized us.
Yeah, they gave us a hard time last week, Saturday. They gave us a tough time.
You see now, our match will be next today. After, so it seems we'll be playing, and now we are playing Spain. And Spain currently, Spain and Japan are the favorites of this group. And the other favorite is already winning there, you are seeing.
Yeah.
So it means that we are in trouble, because for us it means that this is a must-win match, and we also have to make sure that we go and win the other match against Costa Rica, and we also have to make sure that Spain or Japan, this guy is one of them, loses. But how do we beat this other team?
We will pray for them.
Well, it's not an easy fixture for me. I don't think it is be possible for us to progress further, because the way things are looking, I think.
Patrick, be positive. You never know.
Encouraging me to be positive.
Yes, you never know. 2 goals in favor of Zambia. Yeah, I'm staying positive. This time around, I'm staying positive. You know, I don't want to be in a bad depression state like I was last week Saturday. I'm trying to be positive.
You're trying to be positive.
Yeah, I prayed. I'm sure my prayers will be answered.
I'm trying to be positive, but my fear, Miriam, is that if we lose, your positivity may be ruined.
No, Soko, don't even talk about that. Let us stay positive. Anyway, let's just go direct into zooming some of the headlines that we saw making news yesterday in our stories. We did see a story where some concerned citizens in Lusaka have suspected corruption in the construction of a shopping complex opposite Chipata Level 1 Hospital, which is also believed to have encroached on the rail line. Anyway, let's get direct into playing that story. And don't forget that we have now officially opened our phone lines. You can take part in our conversation this morning, where we're looking at, is there any credible opposition political party in Zambia at the moment? Please do call us and give us your comment over our topic.
Repeated calls by government to citizens not to erect structures in the railway reserve seem to be falling on deaf ears. In the latest incident, Lusaka's Mandevu residents have expressed concern on permanent structures which are being erected near the rail line. Whilst Chipata Level 1 Hospital was permitted to erect structures here, the rest of the area was to remain unoccupied. The concerned residents spoke to this reporter on condition of anonymity.
So Tinabatambira kuti vagari nkombo nakamba vati vanapasa 48 hours kuti vavichosepo pano. Maitidabwa kuti vikali vienda vibuilding then mukati umu kuli vantu vamanga day and night sivagona paka building yatabanja nyamuka building ili hapa hii sisi wangani vandani wavomekeza
kamba tanachi supply kuli bazambirenzi vakaribe kuti approve evapiteza kumanga so chiri bwanji nishi anabati samu bazambirenzi wa government waganza pobwanji wa government wakambati no president wakamba zero tolerance to corruption.
They suspect corruption in the matter and are calling on relevant authorities to follow up with the issue.
So tofuna government local government wakabwera na Zambia Railways ngani wa managing director wa Christopher Musonda wakabwera na venangu na bakwestes wakabwera wakaziona vichitika kumbuyo yachipata first kunjanji kuno first
but yanga nepo pali building cha bwera hapa nga in case of amanga mamocharies yo kubantu bazakapaka kubwa kufaka mamoto bazambofaka kuti mamotoka ile zinambia kuti zanga nikapaki yachipata kliniki kuchoka ku road kuchoka sangura bo kufika ku mochari maisizo vevichitika ni vichana.
Efforts to get a comment from the owner of the building, who is believed to be a foreign national, were unsuccessful. When contacted for a comment, Zambia Railways acting publications manager Sombe Ngonga since warned of such irregularities.
So this is not just an offense, but it is also a safety risk to the developers, because as Zambia Railways we move various commodities, we move fuels, we move acids, chemicals, and so on and so forth. So in an event that we have a derailment or accident, I think that will be very catastrophic because a lot of lives would be lost. So this is why that reserve land is not permitted for anyone to put up a permanent structure, because it is an offense and also a safety risk to both the illegal developers as well as the passengers for the goods that we may be moving on our line. So we have continued from our end to engage the relevant authorities to see to it that we bring this issue to an end, where people should not be encroaching within the reserve strip.
According to the Rail Act, it is illegal and punishable for anyone to build within 50 meters of either side of the rail line. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula in Lusaka.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show, Wednesday edition, Governance, Policy and Politics with me, Patrick Soko, and my colleague Miriam Kaimba, and together we are discussing various issues, and our topic of discussion is themed, do we have a vibrant opposition in the country? We want to get it from you. Later on in the program, we'll be joined by our guest to help us discuss this topic. But you too, our dear viewers, you can now get in touch with us and tell us your perspective, if at all you feel we have a credible opposition in the country to be able to provide a credible checks and balances. Is the opposition that vibrant and be able to assist the country? We have seen quite interesting episodes recently. We have seen that, for example, we have the major ruling or opposition political party that does not have a president, and we have seen that members of the Patriotic Front, who are many in the House, have been boycotting. For example, they boycotted the vice president's question time because they feel it is unfair and that they are not being fairly treated. But yet again, we continue to do a back and forth on this subject as a country, because I remember when the UPND was in opposition, they equally used to boycott parliament.
Is it a trend that when you're in opposition, you need to do that?
I think, yeah, it is provided for. I think they use that maybe because they feel that's the only way to just air out your views, to say, yeah, we are not happy with how things are being run. I think that's a direct connotation of that. We are not happy the way things are being run. I think so. If you look at it, that's something I think we need to make sure that how can we find a lasting solution. For me, it shows that there's been a general perspective that probably the presiding officers in the House do not handle things as to the benefit of all members of Parliament. Hence, others feel disadvantaged and feel not that they are not being heard. And so we tend to see this being perpetuated throughout the political cycle in that we see that whichever government takes over, the opposition then will also resort to such mechanisms. So now, again, but who is losing out? Zambians are asking questions because we send members of parliament to go to the House to be able to represent us and be able to ask questions on behalf of the people. Now, if they are not doing that, people continue to raise concerns. Now, we want to be getting your views. Do you feel that the current crop of opposition political parties is providing credible checks and balances to the UPND? Are they giving them the run for their money? Are they making sure that they are able to deliver based on their demand? We want to get it from you, our dear viewers, this morning. And just moving on, we have also another story that we look at, Miriam, which was also in the news, where Zambia Roads and Highway Safety Group has proposed that the Lusaka City Council should move in to decongest the central business district, which has been congested by minibuses and taxis. A group administrator, Mtoni Swabanda, has observed that following the removal of street vendors from the central business district, minibuses and taxis are now occupying spaces and still causing congestion in the city. Mr. Banda notes that if the situation is left unchecked, efforts to restore sanity in the streets of Lusaka will be rendered useless due to lack of order on how the drivers are parking their vehicles. Let's get to listen to this story, and we'll be also getting your views on the other side.
We feel that this is a good move to remove street vendors from the roads, because what we noticed was that they've taken over the road and making it impossible for vehicles to pass, and it created a lot of accidents by people trying to avoid pedestrians who are now treading on the road. But what we have also noticed is that in as much as this move is welcome, the space that has been created by vendors moving away has been taken over by two kinds of I would call it traffic nuisance. The first one is motorists that come early in the morning in town to park their vehicles. They park their vehicles and go elsewhere. Others have been known to even go for days. So what you notice now, like we're in town now, you see that there are a lot of vehicles that have been parked since 08 hours, and they're only going to move at 17 hours. So it creates a lot of congestion, unnecessary congestion by somebody leaving their vehicle in the parking spaces. The second one is that the buses that come into town have nowhere to park. Our view is that buses should not be allowed to park in town. They should be able to drop passengers and return where they are coming from. If they are coming from Charleston, they should return to Charleston. And in Charleston, that's where they can park. If they have no parking space, they can go to their garages. So you see, like for example, in Kulima Tower right now, the space that was occupied by the vendors, after they moved away, the buses have taken over the same space, the car park that the vendors were using. So if you go to Kulima Tower right now, you find a lot of buses have lined up, and they've also reduced the same road. It's supposed to be 2 lanes, now it's 1 lane. So we feel that the exercise to clean up the city should be extended to the bus stations and also to the car parks. We feel that Lusaka City Council should take advantage of this space that has been created and mark it. Mark the areas for parking and also limit the amount of time a person can park. In other cities, you can park for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, even 1 hour, and you get charged for it. But for Zambia, we are used to people parking the whole time. You know, you can park at 7 and leave at 17 is to pay this 5 kwacha, or you don't pay at all. So there has to be restrictions. So our view is that extend this exercise to cleaning up the car park in the CBD, and also ensure that the buses are not allowed to park in the bus stations, but return where they are coming from.
Well, there you have it. That's a story coming from the Zambia Road Safety Highway Group. And they're talking about issues pertaining to parking. And quite an interesting story there. It's a unique story, and I think...
it is, because basically one would think maybe the drivers, you know, connived with council so that they can remove the vendors and take up the space.
Yeah.
Like, why in the first place would you now start taking up that space?
Because now everywhere, now where there were vendors, now there are vehicles parked everywhere.
Then what was the essence of removing? I think even bus drivers should know that they should have a certain place that they need to operate, like Kulimatawa bus station.
For me, it is all these are the effects of poor city planning, and, and these are the effects you are seeing, because now all those who had nowhere to park, now they have found where to park everywhere in the CBD now. As opposed to the traffic of vendors, we have a traffic of congestion of vehicles, and that is not conducive for the city. And we need to make sure that, like he was proposing, that we have designated their places for parking in the city. You know, in other advanced cities, Miriam, parking in the CBD is very expensive compared to parking, for example, before you reach the CBD. So if at all the Lusaka City Council is serious about making money, make it more punitive that whenever if you are parking there, you'll be charged more.
Yes.
So people won't see the need to come, because if you are going to be parting away with 100 kwacha for parking in the CBD, I don't think you will have the appetite to go and park.
No. In fact, 100 kwacha is even less. I think they should put it maybe a penalty fee of 250 kwacha.
Yeah, if you are parking more than 30 minutes or 1 hour, you should be able to pay 250 kwacha. And the council will raise money, and also we'll see those people avoiding to park in the CBD, and the CBD will be well maintained, because only those who risk it will go and park there.
But one thing also, Soko, that we should not forget is that there are not a lot of parking space in the CBD. That's one thing that council should also look at. You know, we need to, they can generate revenue when, you know, we create a lot of parking space. Yes,
when we're talking about this parking space, you are correct to suggest that. But it is food for thought. We need to make sure that every problem presents an opportunity for us to address a problem.
Yes.
You know, so like us, some of us growing up, we were the same to say a problem is not a problem, but a problem is how to solve a problem. So now, how do we solve this problem? So what is on the table is that there's this demand for parking spaces. Now, that's an opportunity for money making. So now, how can the Lusaka City Council and these property owners, other private property owners in the CBD, come up with such a facility? You can come up with a big car park that is in the CBD where people can safely park their vehicles.
Encouraging entrepreneurship, huh?
Yes, so that way we can be able to have enough space for people to park their vehicles. But also that punitive mechanism, you know, in other advanced cities, what they do is that, for example, if you are coming from Kablonga, immediately you reach a civic center, you'll find a way where to park a vehicle. But in the going into the CBD, you get into a public bus. If you are coming to, let's say, Chawama in Lusaka, you park your vehicle at embassy or embassy police station there. You park your vehicle there, you get on a bus. But those buses are advanced buses, they are time buses, not those madoba where you have to spend the entire 40 minutes with the chain road. You get the sense. So, but it's about planning. So now, you make sure that the public transport feeds into the private transport arrangement. So all those things, they feed into each other. Others have also speed trains where you have commuter trains that are operating within the CBD. So you park your vehicle, you get on a commuter train, you go, you
and
go
it's
for
faster because it's faster. You won't have to worry about.
But with the infrastructure dilapidation of the Zambia Railways, as well as with the continued encroachment we are seeing, I feel that aspiration is continuously fading, because at the end of the day, I'm seeing that we are losing the traction that we need to make sure that we improve the transport sector, because the transport sector is multi-dimensional in that it has to accommodate various facets, and they have to be fitting into one another.
And talking about the rail line, you know, there's that when you go to Kamwala, just nearby Tokyo Market, there's some traffic lights there. You could see a heap of garbage. You know, people nearby Mississippi, because there's Mississippi this side, there's Kamwala this side, but there's a rail line. You would see a heap of garbage, and I think that's one thing that we should also, you know, try to, you know, follow up what the local authorities are doing to ensure that, you know, residents there do not continue to throw garbage just nearby the rail line, because my fear is that in the near future you'll find it closed and the train won't pass there.
You are right, Miriam, and I think this is where we have to make sure that we start thinking beyond, outside the box. You know, sometimes I've seen, for example, in instances where in the advanced countries, rail lines are both like overhead, and they are also underground, and they are also on the ground. You understand? So in some instances where there's too much population of people, the rail goes down, goes under. That's how advanced countries have done it. The rail line goes under. You go under. Then where there is less activity, the rail is on the ground, and where necessary, the rail is above and the vehicles are passing under. So if you look at that, that's where we need to be looking at when we're talking about our development trajectory. If we are to be progressing towards becoming a prosperous middle-income country by 2030, those are some of the aspects we need to be looking at as a country.
But right now, we have a lot of issues that we need to sort out.
A
lot of issues. Anyway, moving forward, we have another story where Chawama constituency lawmaker Tasila Lungu says cyberbullying must be dealt with, as it does not only negatively affect female parliamentarians, but society as a whole. Let's get to play that story.
Cyberbullying as an umbrella term to describe many different kinds of online abuse, including but not limited to harassment, doxing, reputation attacks, and revenge porn. To constitute cyberbullying, the perpetrator uses technology such as computers, consoles, cell phones, or any other device with access to internet or social media to harass, stalk, or abuse another person by instigating or participating in online hate campaigns. Zambia, just like other countries, is facing this problem that is presenting itself as an affront to freedom of speech and association. Despite being a democratic state, the country has also seen polarization, with most people separated between the Reds and the Greens, or those for the ruling party and others from the opposition. Chawama Member of Parliament Tasila Lungu says cyberbullying does not only undermine the participation of women in politics, but also affects society as a whole.
Some of them have committed suicide out there. So this is so serious. You know, they're young, they're just developing, and they're coming up in a world that cyberbullying has become the biggest issue. When I was coming up, just bullying, regular bullying, we had bullies at school. But now these bullies are hiding behind keyboards. And you know, the false sense of this confidence that people have when they're behind a phone, a keyboard, it's different than when I'm sitting with you now and we're connecting and we're communicating. And even if I was a bully, for instance, and I'm bullying you when we're next to each other, it's a different ballgame. When I'm behind a keyboard, it's something else also. Yeah, so it's not just something that's going to affect politicians, women only, the whole of society. I think let's be a bit more responsible in our reporting and what we post out there.
And speaking when he featured on the Camnet TV breakfast show, Zambian Cybersecurity Initiative Foundation President John Chinsenki says as the country reforms cybersecurity laws, there's a need to comprehensively resolve the issue of cyberbullying.
For your advantage, to your advantage, and take those offenders to book. Because Facebook today has become a dangerous place. They keep insulting each other. There are a lot of new celebrities popping up with insults. I think the government should rise. If there should be maybe an agency that just looks at cyberbullying alone, at the Ministry of Tech and Science that just specifying any cyberbullying that we find online, we are coming for you. Even if it's not reported, as long as you have done it, we are coming for you. Then the ministry now should be the complainant, and that one should now be the defendant. That's the only way we're going to sort out this matter. For as long as we say, let whoever feels offended go and report it, it is not going to work. So, as this act is being revised, we at the foundation, we want to take up such kind of tasks.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Quite interesting. And yesterday we saw there was a stakeholder consultation of the draft amendment of the Cybersecurity and Cyber Crimes Act number 2 of 2021. Yeah, it was going on at Mulungushi. Quite interesting. When you talk about issues of cyberbullying, Soko, they're rampant at the moment.
Yes, you're right. They are rampant because, you know, like yesterday we had a wonderful conversation with our guest who was helping us to discuss this important topic. And I think true to that, Miriam, cyberbullying is really true. You know, sometimes people don't want to even respect other people's privacy. You've seen that, for example, on your own. You just want to be happy about yourself. You post something, someone comes with their negative energy on your post, as if you have invited them.
With their negative energy,
as if you have invited them to say, but who has invited you to start undermining?
Now you agree with me that negativity is not needed. You need to be positive all the time.
Yes, yeah, but you know there are, you know, like there are others who do not who are not able to manage the
positivity. Yeah.
Yes, because someone just comes and scandalize you, and for example yourself, Mia, you may be able to pick up yourself because you are a journalist. You are exposed. You've been through a lot of ups and downs. You've been able to face difficult situations and be able to say, no, it's one of those things. You'll be able to adjust and acclimatize. But others do not actually manage to do that because probably they don't have self-esteem. And self-esteem, when someone doesn't have it, it becomes difficult for them to just conquer some of these things. And sometimes, like in that story, others end up committing suicide because sometimes suicide is because people don't have someone to talk to because of something that has happened around them or how they feel things around them. You understand? So. But if people have enough courage or self-esteem, you'll gather the courage and tell me to say, Soko, I think this situation is wearing me out. How can I go about it? You'll be able to do that, you see. But it's also about myself. How do I make you feel comfortable to speak to me or to speak to the next? How do we as a people make ourselves comfortable? You know, at the end of the day, I've come to appreciate that, you know, being a democracy, we have to also make sure that we respect our freedom of expression or freedom of speech. But sometimes when others have a different perspective on a subject, those tend to be linked to political matters. They say, no, because you're saying this, probably you are not supporting the government. Because you're saying this, oh, you are supporting the government. Because you are saying this, you are opposition. Because all those things, I don't think they're necessary. But what is important is that whenever we're having an honest discourse, we should be able to bring out the positive and the negative out of a subject and be able to make sure that whatever we are doing is aimed at advancing overall development of this country, because only with the positive vibes, the positive energy that Miriam Kaimba brings to this program can we be able to develop, because we need that possibility. Because for me, we are Zambians. It doesn't matter where you are coming from. It doesn't matter your political party. For me, you are a Zambian. I'm a Zambian. We are Zambians. We are relatives, and we have to make sure that we grow this country together.
Exactly. And just talking about, you know, cyberbullying itself, we did see on various occasions, you know, various stakeholders calling on the need to ensure that, you know, we build more mental health facility, rehabilitation facilities across the country, because a lot of people are not able, you know, to come out. Like I can approach you, Soko, and say, okay, I'm going this kind of mental torture or this kind of situation, I'm depressed and stuff like that. That's why we have seen an increase, like you said, in a lot of suicide cases. And this calls now for a lot of health facilities that are going to deal, you know, offer counseling to people. We need such things in our society. But anyway, just a reminder to our viewers that this morning, we are looking at is there credible opposition political party in Zambia at the moment. And like I said earlier on when we opened our program this morning, that we will be joined by Chilui Area Member of Parliament Mulinga Fube just to help us, discuss our topic this morning. But before we usher our guest in, let us go direct into playing this story where it is a Member of Parliament Twambo Mtinta has backed the call for the National Action for Quality Education in Zambia for the establishment of a financial institution to give a cheaper loans and other financial services to teachers.
Zambia has today, 25th of July 2023, commemorated the 2023 World Population Day under the theme Unlocking the Power of Gender Equality, uplifting the voices of women and girls to unlock our world's infinite possibilities. While at the same meeting, the nation's Population Fund's flagship report has been launched, whose content calls for a radical rethink of how population numbers are framed as governments increasingly adopt policies aimed at raising, lowering, and maintaining fertility rates. And United Nations Population Fund representative spoke to the need for the world to realize reproductive health and rights for all as a fundamental for gender equality, dignity, and opportunity.
All women currently between 20 and 24 years of age were married before the age of 18. And that almost 4 in 10 women and girls in Zambia have experienced gender-based violence. Realizing sexual and reproductive health and rights for all is the foundation for gender equality, dignity and opportunity.
Political parties should proactively attract young women and provide opportunities for engagement for them in decision-making structures to ensure that there is adequate women's participation in politics and that there is no generational gap.
In speaking at the same meeting, United Nations Resident Coordinator to Zambia, Beatrice Mutali, expressed sadness at the fact that voices of women and girls are largely absent in matters that directly affect them, thereby limiting their potential to meaningfully contribute to development.
It's clear that women and girls bring unique perspectives and experiences to the table. By lifting their voices, we encourage the sharing of diverse ideas and solutions to complex global challenges. This leads to more comprehensive and innovative approaches in areas such as healthcare, education, environmental sustainability, and social issues.
And the Zambian government, through the finance minister who spoke virtually, says Zambia has a very young population, with 45.3% of the population comprising of children below the age of 15, which has created a huge dependence burden for both families and the government, as resources are mostly spent on making provisions for people who are not contributing to economic productivity, and that if nothing is done, the nation will continue to face challenges.
Government, therefore, in this pursuit of harnessing the demographic dividend, is alive to the fact that advancing gender equality is a cross-cutting solution to many population challenges.
To achieve sustainable development, we need to recognize the collaboration between government and stakeholders institutions as the programs towards gender equity and sustainable development are being implemented.
By the close of November 2022, the world's population had hit 8 billion people. This posed 8 billion opportunities for humanity, 8 billion reasons to build healthier and more equitable society, and 8 billion unique stories towards a sustainable and resilient planet. Pires Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Quite interesting.
Welcome back. You are watching the Camnet Breakfast Show. Interesting story, Miriam Kaimba there. You saw it, and
yeah, quite interesting stories. Like I said, you know, it's we are yet to see what more will come out from that thing. Exactly. But anyway, that is not our focus this morning. We are, joined by our guest this morning, who's Chilui Area Member of Parliament, Mr. Mulinga Fube, who is going to help us discuss our topic this morning, where we're looking at Is there a credible opposition political party in Zambia? Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Camnet.
Thank you so much, and good morning, sir.
Interesting.
How's Chilubi doing this morning?
Well, Chilubi is okay. Though, I mean, Chilubi is not without challenges by nature of its geographical position. And I think last time I was here, I was talking about a road that needed to be attended to, the Ruingu-Chava road. I think RDA, with the intervention of the infrastructure minister, they have done patching, which was quite troublesome, and making vehicles not to move properly, especially between Rwena and Matipa, Rwena and Chava. But I think I would like to confirm that for now, that particular patch is motorable. We just say for rain season that maybe it may be destroyed during rain season, but for now, the vehicles are able to move. And I think other things like water transport and the like, the Rucherenganga is still operating, though we do not have cargo ship that can take everything to the island, especially. And then we have also to look at a good road leading to the swamps that can help and facilitate movement of goods and people, to the, especially in Chiba, and Rwangwa Ward, going to Rwangwa Ward, bypassing Mayuka there. So those, which is Bumba Ward, those are some of the challenges generally, because Chilubi is in three parts. That is the swamps, the island, and the mainland. Though we have also got a challenge on the island where we have to attend to the roads there. So we need to have, that's why you have heard me talking about the ferry that should ferry heavy machinery to the island.
Interesting. Now, to get started with our topic of discussion, we are looking at, do we have vibrant opposition in the country? As a parliamentarian with vast experience, we want to tap in your perspective because those coming from the ruling party have been of the view that there is no opposition, and come 2026, it is a walkover.
Well, that's a dream, and no one stops another person to dream. When we talk about opposition, vis-a-vis, maybe affiliating it to learning of elections. Elections are a different phenomenon that no one should get excited about. When we talk about elections, the elections are linked to the people, the voters. And I think if UPN does to say that there's no opposition, I think I've described it as a dream. And then they should keep on dreaming. Because one-to-one, if we are to take the credentials of UPND, and let me just pick the party that I come from, PF, on head count, one-to-one, you find that we are more credible than UPND, even when it was in opposition. UPND was formed in 1998. Yeah, and the PF was formed in 2001. So when you count as to see which political party has a better stamina, you find that PF has exercised intra-party democracy. Even right now, people are able to comment on PF about the convention because it's an open, it's a mass movement, it's a political party for the people. They are free to comment and talking about why we have not chosen the president. We are attending to the constitution because we have opened the political party to the people. UPND was running a political party like a county. In the 23 years that they stayed, after the great son of the soil, Mr. Mazoka, that political party started running like a county, where it was just centered on one person. If you look at how the UPND that Mazoka formed, may he so rest in peace, where he included a wide range of people and professionals, and it was very attractive. And the UPND that came thereafter, the UPND that contested, elections under UDA, you cannot talk about it having credible credentials that they can even compare with the standing of a political party like PF. So, when let me not be selfish, we have also got this upcoming political parties that did not participate in the upswing of political parties that came out in 2001, arrangement, which was followed by the failure to attain the third term by President Chua, may so rest in peace. You find that from there, there are a lot of political parties that were born, Heritage Party and the like. You remember the expulsion of the 22 members of the MMD gave birth to a lot of political parties thereafter. And I think UPND was not one of those, because UPND was formed before. If you remember and followed the political map, UPND, when it was formed, it had to secure even 5 seats under Anderson, Kambela Mazoka. Before, we even went for 2005 polls. But given the credentials that followed thereafter, they were solid credentials. So to say that there is no vibrant opposition, opposition is in different forms. When you talk about formation of political parties, sustaining those political parties, and I think it's not easy in the Zambian environment, especially where any dissenting voice, and I really think UPND should blame itself than blaming the opposition, because any dissenting voice under UPND is stepped on, opposed to what they actually promised the people. They promised the people that they are going to encourage a democratic environment, but we are seeing something very opposite.
Why do you say opposite, Honorable? Because and only those who are committed crime facing the...
Which crime? Come on, which crime? When you say those who have committed crime, UPND has gone on a fishing expedition to search. If they see you with a nice shoe like yours there, they have to start searching how you bought the shoe and the like. Is that crime? Crime is where, for instance, the corruption they are talking about, if they present it to the nation to say, we have lost so much money, and such a minister was in charge of this ministry, and that's why we have lost money. Not where they just find you with a house, and maybe possibly they are targeting people that have even worked for 15 years, who have even gotten gratuities and so forth, and then they pounce on such a person and they call it crime. What kind of crime is that?
Do you think the United Party for National Development has gone against its word? Because we have seen the president on several occasions saying that law enforcement agencies should not make an arrest before they do a thorough investigations. Do you think, on your part, we have seen a lot of Patriotic Front members appearing before the courts of law on corruption allegations charges? Do you think there have been a haste in the fight against corruption?
Well, the fight against corruption has been rallied under an indictment code found with proceeds of, suspected to be proceeds of crime, something like that. And I think we should look at that. Since you asked whether the president is sticking to his word, the president, the first time he talked in Euro Stadium, he gave a lot of people hope that he's going to uphold the law of law. But alas, he's not upholding the law of law. When he talked in Parliament the first time, even me, I was given a lot of hope. When he was talking about bail, giving people bail, and he was also talking about a person should not trust. But they are getting, Honorable. Hello. Can I finish? Yes. Because when you say you are getting bail, I would give you 1,000 examples of how people have struggled to really get the so-called bail. Now, when you talk about such, he talked about it in the speech, the first speech, and the speeches that followed thereafter. But the implementation has been, even when you talk about law enforcement, do you know that through SI 1123, the president has made these law enforcement agencies to be under his control? And I think that's not a secret, because it's in public domain, it's gazetted. So when you talk about that, these are supposed to be independent. We have seen that. I would give you a lot of examples where the president holds a press conference and talks about certain individuals. The next day they are arrested. So I don't know how that is a democratic environment. You find that the president sometimes has been engineering, arrests of citizens through his press conferences, where he talks about something, you talk about certain individuals, and you know, the president holds a lot of power. If you read Article 90, 91, 92, 93 there, you find that he holds a lot of executive powers. So the institutions that are charged with a duty to make sure that the wheels of justice are moving smoothly, when they hear the president, who has a lot of power, talk about individuals through press conferences, and in a manner that is a bit toxic, you find that that is carried as an instruction for them to effect all sorts of issues. We have seen that, you see, I would have loved a scenario where the president stays away from such and allows the law enforcement officers to implement, law as it may be. Currently, if you go in Article 18 of the Bill of Rights, you find that a person, we encourage a maxim where a person is presumed guilty, is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But if you have seen the way suspects have been treated under SEC, the way suspects have been treated under DEC and many other law enforcement agencies, before when you are arrested, it's already sensationalized. It goes into sensational arrangement, and before you realize, you are accused of 29 houses when the law enforcement agencies are looking at 6 houses, and it's already on social media, and you have to fight against the current, and you find that before you do that, you are suffocated, you are arrested, your house has been seized, you are not staying in that house, and you know, all sorts of processes that they have to implement forfeiture act before you realize even your animals, some of the people have had their animals grabbed and then before they settle, they are returned. No, it's confusion of its size order. So when you talk about law enforcement and then you want to even say that the opposition are having a very good environment, I don't know which Zambia you live in.
There's another argument, Honorable, that has been pushed forward to say there is no opposition. They're even failing to ask questions during the Vice President's question time. They're just coming to get allowances and walking out.
No, that's an insult. That's an insult. I think if you have been observing that the Patriot Front, which has 58 members of parliament in the House, has really accounted for itself very well. If we are to take note of debate on different national issues, including the budgets, that since we lost power, you go and retrieve verbatim or maybe the hazard. You find that the Patriot Front members of parliament, including independent members of parliament, they have accounted themselves very well in terms of what, if anything, when it comes to the issue of asking the Vice President questions. Like it's government, come on, I'm a member of parliament, can I speak? It's government that has not been responsible. Most of the time she doesn't know, you find that the Vice President is not even present in the House. If I'm to count how many times the Vice President has been present in this session, you'll be shocked. So for anyone to throw the ball to the opposition, that they're the ones who are failing to uphold the duty, as it may be in Article 60, 61, 62 and 63 of members of parliament, I think that is not being fair. It's not being fair. Because even when we walk out, it's our duty when we see that the environment that has been bestowed on us to represent the people of Zambia, the members of parliament's duties is first, constitutional duties, to registrate, make registration. The other one is to represent Zambians. The other one is to do, oversight role over the executive. The other one is to approve budget. These four major, roles of an MP that are even constitutional have been carried out nicely. Don't we approve the budget? Yes, we do. How do we approve the budget? We debate on different items, on different aids, until the budget is approved. You go and check.
So now,
then when it comes to registration, even when I would give you the latest one, you saw what happened, and how they outdated the procedure and the debate about the NPA Act. Didn't the opposition stand? They stood their ground, and you could see that the executive did not even have reasons apart from making Zambia towards a one-party dictatorship.
The NPA Act. I will be coming to that.
Yes.
Yeah, Honorable. Yeah, but I wanted you to further clarify on this issue. You mentioned that you are not happy, for example, on how, as the presiding officers are handling affairs. No wonder you would opt, for instance, to walk away as members of parliament. Now, what will be a sustainable mechanism for us to avoid this trend? Because even the UPND used to walk out of parliament because they also accused...
Well, it's the right. It's the right of MPs.
They also accused the previous presiding officers.
No. But I think head to head, if you compare, I was part of my term. I came through a by-election, and I can tell you that the way the house was then and the way the house is now, in terms of upholding standing orders and just general order of the house, it's worlds apart. It's worlds apart. In terms of quality, there was quality then than there is quality now. So I don't know, maybe all of us are responsible in making sure that the house has deteriorated to this level. But I think there is need that if Zambians have been watching their own house, that is people's house, we just go there as representatives. We hold this power in stewardship. And I think what has been happening so far in Parliament is not something that we should get excited about. It's not something that we should get excited about. And I think it should not be blamed on the PF. No, it should not be blamed on the members of Parliament that are independent or any other party, because I know that even Camnet was a member of Parliament there. And I think I need to be sensitive to that. Now, when you say that even in them they used to walk out, if you compare the circumstances under which they walked out, they have the right. Just like we have the right. So, for anyone to see some strange phenomenon in what the PF and other, because even the independents walk out with us, and other independents members of parliament are doing, it's up to Zambians to watch and scrutinize really whether we are doing something wrong. You are the Zambians. You watch parliament and find out really whether what we are doing is wrong or we are representing you well. And you will see who is wrong in that house. I will not point a finger at anyone, but watch parliament. And find out for yourself.
Interesting. One thing,
yes.
one thing I would like to bring to your attention. We did see that for quite some time you have pushed on when to have your convention to elect your party president. Another question that the ruling and other political parties are saying is that there is confusion in the Patriotic Front, which is number one, and we have seen it from the current matters that are before court, which we cannot dive into much because they are before the courts of law. Another question is, in an event, this convention does not take place on the 28th of October this year, the argument is that the Patriotic Front might go into oblivion.
Well, those are assumptions that do not hold water. The last convention we had was necessitated by renewing a term. And the term is 5 years because it is supposed to match. Actually, under no circumstances, if President Lungu did not say, I am stepping aside, we would have gone for a convention in 2026. That is the scenario. That is legal. We would have gone. I know that some of you have been getting surprised when you see that from the Register of Societies, documents are still reflecting the name. Which names do you want to be reflected? That is what we chose. And that's what Cap 119 of the Register of Societies states. So when you say oblivion, how do we? Oblivion meaning that we disappear. How do we disappear with so many councillors? How do we disappear with all those MPs and the like? So is anyone trying to suggest that if we don't go for this convention, then we register or we dissolve ourselves? How? In which way? Because the lifespan of when we are supposed to renew the mandate of office bearers, actually it's still there. So, under the constitution, states as such, we are supposed to change, to start making amends to the constitution by 29th of this month. But I think the leadership has offered a guideline of why we should not go for the conference, because we are trying to also to be sensitive of other events of great importance in the nation. So, for anyone to suggest that PF can go in oblivion after if we don't hold convention in October, it's been extreme. That person who suggests that is an extremist.
Then there has been
for such a suggestion, it does not hold water legally or any other way.
Then there's an argument that, for example, the party will continue to waste its time because other political parties already have presidents who are already on the ground convincing Zambians that there can be an alternative administration. But while yourselves, you are still wondering to say who is going to lead the party. And that argument has been that if, again, another bone of contention is that among those presidential aspirants, if one emerges victor, others are likely to move away or form their own one political party. Hence, there will be no patriotic front.
No. I have told you. That patriotic front is the People's Party. And very soon, you will prove that's the People's Party. There is need that for PF it should be strategic and tactical. These are politics. And for you to say, to just give a blanket statement that, yes, our friends have been selling themselves and the like and so forth. And I think we are remaining with 2.5 years in which to go for pause in August 2026. And I think when you look at such, yes, there are advantages and disadvantages for the delay. And I can tell you that at the rate we are going, especially the victimization that we are facing, this is the political party, after it left power, it faced 300 plus petitions from the ruling government. And we have been victimized in terms of property for the party being grabbed and all sorts of things.
But petitions are constitutionally guaranteed, Honorable.
What?
Petitions are constitutionally guaranteed.
Yes, they are constitutionally guaranteed, but they can also be used as a political platform, a political tactic, like a UPN used as a political tactic. You should even appreciate that we fought the petitions. You have no idea on how much those petitions were going to mean. So that particular resilience that we demonstrated should not be underestimated. And I think we are also geared that there are more battles to come. There are more battles to come. We are fighting some of the battles right now, but we are also geared that there are more battles to come. But I would like to tell you through this program that we are more than prepared for those battles. And I think if UPND, which we spent 23 years plus in opposition, in our case, when we formed the Patriotic Front, we only spent 10 years in what? And the day after, we formed the government. We should not be underestimated. And I think, the prowess we used to form government has not melted. And I think the membership is still there. That you should know. But you see, when you are talking about this, PF has a lot of stakeholders in it. And PF, even those who may be in other political parties, should not get excited about PF going into distinction.
Let's get someone wants to interact with us. You are through to the Camnet breakfast show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, and how are you? Mr.
John Nkuma from Livingston.
You can go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, number one. When we go to Parliament today, let him tell his colleagues that Zambia at large is watching Parliament and is also listening in Parliament radio. Zambians are able to judge. It is very true that the Parliament of the years before now were much better than now. I concur with his way. It's not only me talking like that. The general populace where we have met, where we have discussed. I was in Western Province. I just came recently to Livingston. One of my good friends even told me that, my brother, do you watch Parliament? At first I told him no. He said, I urge you to start watching Parliament. I said, no. And it's true. The parliamentarians there, especially the Patriotic Front and the independent members of Parliament, they have really accounted themselves very well. Very well. And they have articulated matters very well. But most of the time, they have always been undermined and shut down. You see? See? But the Patriotic Front has got people on the ground. I was in Western Province. The people in Western Province are regretting. Most of my friends who are in UPNG are telling me that if I
think that's where we end the conversation.
I think
but that was
no, I think he was just trying to consolidate what I was saying.
Just saying.
Yes, because you see,
but there's a message for you. I hope you got his message.
Yes, I got his message. I was even shocked that you asked me that we are the ones who are messing up Parliament when you know the culprits.
So what we do is that people who sit on the same seat we are sitting, they come and give us that information. And
but
always make sure we bounce it to the people.
But look, there is always need. Some of them don't even talk in Parliament. They are just they just go there to wait for breaks and drink tea. So let them respect those who stand for you guys, who stand for the populace.
Just to add on, we have another viewer who is watching us on Facebook, Mr. Beto, who says, when we mean credible opposition in terms of constructive checks and balances, we cannot see that from the Patriotic Front.
What is constructive checks and balances? If they bring a budget and you give a policy line, for instance, they bring a budget in agriculture, they are talking about shifting from FISIP and to go to CASIP. And you find that in there, what is just there is the extension services. There is nothing more. So, if, for instance, they are talking about procurement of fertilizer, and there are gaps in there, and the PF rises to say, this is not how it should be done. And the PF has a record in that particular area. So, what does it mean by constructive criticism? You see, I think what we offer, if we are to compare what the UPND used to offer then, and what we are offering, we are more of a mature opposition than they were. So, if the circumstances we are going through was about UPND, I don't know what would have happened.
But the argument has been, at the time when the UPND, who are now the current ruling party, were in opposition, you know, they faced cadres harassment, but you're not facing that. The environment has been made conducive for that.
What is cadre harassment? You know, I have always told you, Miriam and the rest, the cadres are still there. What is cadreism? Cadreism is in different classes. There is white-collar cadreism, there is also blue-collar cadreism, and there is also peasantry cadreism. Cadres harassment, which members of parliament faced cadre harassment at parliament? No, I'm asking you, which member of parliament among the UPND faced cadre harassment and actually what we are going through in terms of amputating space for participation is serious form of cadreism. You cannot say that they were forcing cadre harassment and all that. Yes, I know that sometimes some of them when they
appear on TV.
Yes, when they appear on TV and they
like incidents where
they were among ourselves. Hello, can I admit? Allow me to speak. They were among ourselves. Some of them who were overzealous, they were attacking them and the like and so forth. That particular part is gone. Yes. But when we talk about cadreism is still in different forms. Even in government services now, where people are being discriminated to receive social cash transfer and the like, someone has to be a card-carrying member of... I'm coming from a constituency where WDCs were personalized by some individuals. You know WDCs? Yes, that's why development committees were subjected to political arrangement in terms of choosing the quacks for the community development That's scandalism, come on. So when you talk about affecting the core delivery of government services, it's scandalism. So the scandalism has just only changed the face, but it has become more crude now. It is scandalism that is making the government not to pay suppliers. It is scandalism that is making government not to pay contractors. That's a form of scandalism. Let us wake up. Because if we keep on saying, no, let's see how these things are going to be done, it is scandalism. That is, for instance, has made me not to receive a vehicle when other people have received a vehicle. If that's not a form of scandalism, what is it now? So when you talk about members of parliament are 156 who are manning different constituencies, and then you are giving vehicles, and out of that proportion, you give vehicles 70% plus go to a ruling party.
Yes.
And the other percentage goes to the independents, and Patriotic Front only receives 13% of that portion. Is that not scandalism? So when you talk about scandalism, it's in different forms. So when you talk about scandalism, it's not just in the violence package. No, I know that under PF, those that were overzealous, who could not understand politics in a particular manner, the way they are supposed to be in a democratic environment, would become violent. But if the violent party is silenced, it's not even silenced. We are having violence also in these, all the by-elections that we have had. UPN has been violent. I can even give you examples of, the by-elections I participated in at council level in Chirubi. All of them were violent. And some of them driven by ministers in that way. So when you talk about dying of Kadaism, Kadaism presents itself in different forms. So it's not about the markets, my people. It's not only about the stations, my people. It is about different forms. And when you find that the structure of government, look at who have become, most of the people that have become permanent secretaries. They are coming from the secretariat, from these political branches, and they have gone there. Have they stopped being political? Have they stopped being biased? If you have gone to court, you hear how, for instance, under the tutelage,
appointing its people. The PF was also appointing its people.
Yes.
Even David is on record saying that appoint our people.
Yes.
Look, that clip that
look, in as far as cadres are of different strata, some of them are lawyers, some of them are accountants, and all that. When you talk about appointing people, PF at permanent secretary level, deputy permanent secretary level and the like, they used to elevate the civil servants they already found in the system. Of course, they would add in one or two more from outside the system. But many of the PSS they appointed were professionals. That one I can vouch, head to head. I can bring all these cadres that are in the system now actually. You find that most of them who are occupying those positions say that they were deputy chan, they were in such a structured provincial level and so forth, an active political position. Then they are appointed to civil service. That's why we are having Kafafa. For instance, this particular government had to purge out most of the experienced civil servants. Have been purged out. As I speak, there are about 70-something directors who are on the fence, who don't know their fate, who don't know whether they are going to be, brought back in the land, but they are even getting paid in some way. So when you're talking about Kadaism, come on. If we are to talk about Kadaism, they have talked about Kadaism at the market, and they never no Kadaism had market in Ashan. But you should know that Kadaism is a bigger package than you look at it. So when you talk about that, sir and madam, Kadaism is still there. It has just changed the forms.
They were saying that those who were recruited by the PF were undermining the vision of the UPND.
No. That is also a fake script they want to write. And I think let me take also a swipe at what the IG said. When he said that PF recruited junkies and the like, that is, I think, insulting to the profession of, uniform people who are the police.
We'll because from that point, Honorable, maybe we interact with this scope.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. We can clearly get you through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
Yeah, I want to make a over that program.
Please go ahead. Who are we talking to this morning?
Yeah, what I want to say to honorable people is that the staff of most of the issues they want to address themselves. That is the Christ solution to this. I think they have to stop the regulation in power. That is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've not gotten it.
Are you able to repeat yourself, sir?
Okay. Please do call us back and ensure
I think
that
the line was very faint.
Very faint.
You were responding about the statement pertaining that most people were recruited.
That was a very unfortunate statement coming from an office like him, because the police are not supposed to be partisan. The police are an instrument of the state, and when you look at that, they are supposed to serve the interests of anybody. For instance, if an IG can speak like that, if, for instance, I'm before the police and have a case at the police, do I expect justice from such a person? No, I don't. By nature of being PF, I don't expect justice from such a person, because he messed up in his statement. You cannot say the police, and that was a general statement. It was not particular. We have seen that from counter time to date, I have been interacting with the police myself, and I think there are good fruits within the police, and there are also bad fruits from time of immemorial. So you cannot just isolate one regime to say that this regime recruited junkies, and that was very insulting, very, very insulting. I think next time the police IG should check what he says, because that meant also that he's an IG, is a leader in that particular institution. It meant also that everybody, good or bad, who was recruited during the PF stayed in power, for your information, for 10 years. And he did not discriminate a particular item to say this is what, it's just this intake. And in those 10 years, it's possible that from Mr. Sata's time up to, Dr. Edgar Chogalungu's time, they recruited the police. And if they recruited the police, what the IG said, that all those were junkies, is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate that the IG could say that.
Now, the other question, Honorable, is that others have also argued that why the PF, people are saying the PF is the biggest opposition, arguably by numbers and based on the performance of the 2020 general election. Arguably, it is the largest opposition in the country. But others have also argued to say there is no way a political party can rebrand with the same people, especially heading the institution.
I think that is a very unnatural argument. When you say the same people, you want people to die, and then you start rebranding. And you see, when you talk about that, there is what is called institutional memory. You cannot say that there is no way that the Patriot Front can rebrand with the same people. No. The UPND, from the time our grant, the son of the soil, Mazoka died, they have had the same people. And it's the same people that have struggled until they have formed government. So, we have people that helped us from the time we formed, Patriot Front up to date. Some of them are still living. Where do you want us to take them? Where do you want us to throw them? So what it is that people should be talking about renewal in terms of leadership. As it comes to people, these are people that have been holding our structures. These are people that have been holding our structures from branch through the ward level, through the constituency, and the districts. Sorry that if some of them want to weaken us by throwing away our own people, that will not do. Our people are there to stay, because these are the
same arrogant people.
No.
When
you say they are arrogant people,
those people were saying they are arrogant,
that they were arrogant.
They were in the sequence.
Look, we have learned
secretariat level.
We have learned from
those who failed to also saying, because
we have been assailed with arrogance and rushed to form government in 2021, that possibly Zambians would have found us with certain elements that they did not like. But I think we are working on those weaknesses. But to throw away the people with a very unnatural suggestion that the same people, these are same people who are interested in participating in politics. In politics, you don't just go on to start recruiting uninterested parties. In politics, you recruit those that are willing to participate. So, if the same people are willing to sustain the political party and they are saying, let us go forward until we form, we bounce back to government.
To do what?
So
the people argue, say to do what? What they thought
no, I forgive you. I forgive you.
People say, what is it?
Yes, I forgive you. I forgive you. Sooner or later, you realize that the Patriotic Front meant well when it comes to governance. When you say to do what? You pick.
They meant well for over borrowing.
No. What do you? And I think a young person like you should not go in that script. Let me demonstrate even about the borrowing that you are. Hello. Can you give me clarification? You have accused me. Can I explain? You said over borrowing. The PF. No, I think you are not being fair.
Let's just hold your thought.
Yeah, you are not being fair.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, thank you. How are you, ladies and gentlemen?
We are fine, thank you.
And
Who
how
are
are
we
you?
talking to this morning?
You are talking to Mr. Peter Ngosa from Kitwe.
Please go ahead with your contribution.
All right. So I want to quickly address the statement that Mr. Fube just used when someone called and talked about when we were talking about the issue to do with arrogance and the rebranding of the party using the same people. Okay, by that statement, what people mean is the arrogant type of people. I do not want to mention the names, but I think they know themselves. To even maybe bring it closer, even he himself, Mr. Fube, the way he sounds, is very arrogant over the same thing. Imagine the party that everybody is expecting to come back, and you still keep people who are very arrogant, who are not even having that heart of remorse over what they have done or did against Zambian people. And you expect the same party to come back in such a manner. It is very, very difficult. We really need to call a spade a spade. Where they did good, it is important that we appreciate them. But where they went wrong, again, it's important that we mention it and we tell them, just as UPND, what they are doing good, we need to point it out. And where they are wrong, we also need to say, yeah, they are wrong. So the arrogance is what everyone is concerned about. The capitalism, he knows. If he's trying to tell us what type of capitalism is or whatever the case may be, we need to call a spade a spade. PF did us bad, and it was bad. For them to come back, honestly, they have to move some of the people out. Those that are interested, just like you were saying, bring them in and let's see where we are going. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
Well, I appreciate though he has called me arrogance, but you should also understand the difference between confidence and arrogance. Because when you are confident in Zambia, you are mistaken for arrogance. When you talk about over borrowing, sir, when the PF stayed in power for 10 years, right? And the moment they just entered power, they borrowed Euro bonds and the like because they found that for them to run the economy, there was need that they had the money to implement the vision.
Yes.
And the PF borrowed 13.5 billion. Are you getting me? So they borrowed 13.5 billion in 10 years. And apart from that, the PF also found some pending, about 2.9 billion. Those are dollars. Let me qualify. They are dollars. By the time the PF was leaving, they had left 13.5 billion as external debt, and almost the same amount as internal debt. And much of that money that was borrowed is what went into upholding the electricity status of Zambia. That today you may even be enjoying. You don't have what you used to call blackouts. They are no longer there. It's the PF. It's not the UPND, and that should be driven home. The PF only found 1.6 megawatts and they raised that to 3.2 megawatts, and that's not a joke. So when you talk about borrowing, yes, the PF borrowed, I agree, but meaning that in the 10 years, per year they were borrowing $1.35 billion. This government, in 1 year, 10 months, have borrowed $6 billion, in case you don't know. They have borrowed $6 billion. So if we are to compare per year, it means that per year they have been borrowing $3 billion. The PF was borrowing $1.3 billion. Who is likely to borrow more? If they were to stay in power, they would borrow $30 billion. If they are going at the same rate, they would borrow $30 billion. The PF borrowed $13.5 billion. So that is a presumption.
Yes. So
now, in 2 years, in less than 2 years, they have borrowed $6 billion. On top of, you go and see the status. You are a journalist. Research. You go and see the status at the Ministry of Finance of where we stand. The PF left 26 point something billion, as in terms of dollars. It is at 32. So if it's at 32, who has borrowed the rest of the money? So sometimes don't be you doing.
So now, interesting enough. So
yes, don't be doing by such statements.
Interesting enough, what we are saying is, what I was saying is factual.
Yes.
Is that you overborrowed, and you
no, we didn't overborrow.
Now, listen. Why I'm just.
What is overborrowing?
Now I'm listening. I'm saying this because when then the PF government, I was a journalist by then, was the borrowing stakeholders like 9 government organizations were advising the ministers of finance, all those who served under PF, especially during the late Alexander Chikwanda, who were saying to say, please limit the borrowing, leave headroom. When the PF said, no, we are in control of this situation. But if we were in control of the situation as a country, were we going to see the need to go for the IMF bailout package? The answer is no. That's where the overborrowing aspect comes in.
So those who have gone, because those who have gone for IMF
bailout, our debt was unsustainable. No. Are we not arguing that the debt was unsustainable?
You know what I'm trying to do? Morally speaking, I'm comparing the PF and the
yes, but I was talking about the unsustainable debt issue management. That also people were not happy about because we continuously borrowed and this borrowing.
But what we borrowed, I can ascertain you. You give me a program. I will tell you where it went head by head. But you see, where has the $6 billion?
But even the UPND does not have the right to continue borrow and subject these.
No, but tell them. Tell them.
And we continue to.
You know what I'm trying to say? What I'm trying to say? The UPND are the ones who have written the script that the PF overborrowed. That's why I brought them in to say that the PF borrowed for this much. They have borrowed $6 billion. What are they talking about? They have $6 billion.
Indeed, Honorable shall surely give you another chance, another platform to come and explain this in details. We are running out of time, but under a minute, given the fact that you as PF, you have taken this venture of rebranding, are we seeing any likeliness for you to, do you see yourselves with any hope of bouncing back in 2026?
Well, the hope of bouncing back is actually there. Why it's there is that if you look at the way UNIP managed its affairs, the way MMD managed its affairs, we are very different of the way we are managing our affairs. Even the resilience is different. So when we talk about bouncing back, we look at the weight. But in any case, bouncing back is not upon the PF. It's upon the Zambian people who are going to decide then, when we reach 2026. They are going to see whether PF is fit and is in the attire that it can bounce back. You see? Because bouncing back, even for UPND to retain power, it is not the political party that will decide. It's the people out there that will decide. Let us not cheat ourselves. Whether it's any other party, if they say that they are going to win the 2026. The winning of 2026 is not in control of any political party. Don't be cheated. There are a lot of factors that are going to determine that. Even the UPND, they should not say it's on over. Actually, with what is happening in the nation, the UPND has more to worry than the PF. They should get more worried than the PF. That I can assure you. And because the verdict belongs to the people. It's the people that are going to judge whether Mulenga can be retained in Chirubi or any other place, or whether anyone becomes a president. So it's not automatic, and the political parties should not cheat themselves that coming back or retaining power depends on them. It depends on the people out there. It's the people that will decide. It's not about we political.
And I mean, there's a perception that the party is being swallowed by the Socialist Party, and that most of the people are likely to be part of the Socialist Party?
Well, let me tell you that there is always propaganda in politics. And the fact that those that have been resigning have gone to the Socialist Party as opposed to going to UPND or any other party, people can come up with that assumption. But I can assure you that that is still an assumption. Yes, that is still an assumption. And I think people are free to assume that this is likely to happen. So when you talk about swallowing, currently, with all due respect, the Socialist Party does not have the capacity to swallow the PF as a political party. It can take some of the members, yes, and that is allowed. And just like any other, currently there's no political party that can swallow the PF as you are putting it. That is not possible. And I know that some people, when I say that, can mistake me for being arrogant, but I'm trying to tell you, looking at different factors, and I've been around in politics for some time. So that particular judgment where people want to mwilapunda peno chitairaingira ama elections zeka wako 2026. So let no one get excited and say these will be winners, these will be losers. No, it is too early to determine who are going to be the losers, because there are a lot of factors in the political landscape that will actually determine who wins the elections and who loses.
Interesting.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable. We would like to thank you for finding time to be part of the breakfast show this morning.
Thanks so much.
Interesting. Before we wind up our program, let me just say hi to those people who were following us on our Facebook page. We had Mwiche Sichilongo and also Kezi Bento and Kaliba Sampa, also Mukanta Laban, and also we had Dines Mwila. These are some of the people who are commenting on our Facebook page. We thank you for watching the program. This is where we have to end the Wednesday edition of the Camnet Breakfast Show, where we focus on governance, policy, and politics. This has been Patrick Soko and my co-host Miriam Kaimba. Stay tuned, keep it on Camnet TV, because Camnet TV is not just another channel.